real quiet. Well, it was quiet and folks sleep. But what's good, y'all? It's Project Man. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Money in the Bank and what our predictions are. As you guys know, it is time for the predictions. I'm recording this on 12 o'clock, midnight, 12 o'clock on, well, it was Thursday, but now it just made it to Friday. So I'm technically recording this on Friday, but I'm posting it Friday afternoon. But make sure you guys hit that like, comment, subscribe before you get up out of here and get done experiencing this video. But as per usual, if you've been a part of this, then you know exactly what this is. We're gonna name the matches, who we think are gonna win and why. And for people, that's for the people who already know the drill, and that's what the deal is for the people who just not getting involved in this. So as you guys hit that subscribe button, comment on who you think is going to win and all that type of good stuff. Let's get into it right now. Now, I don't need a paper. I don't need a website to know what's on the card, because that's what happens when you make a card that's not long and not, what happens when you make a card that's not long and not too many people are on it. So we're going to start off. Let me see how I'm going to start this off. I'm thinking, should I do Money in the Bank matches, normal matches? I feel like I feel like out of the sake of it being Money in the Bank, I'm going to start with a ladder match as my predictions and end with a ladder match as my predictions. That way it's a full-on tie-in. You got the ladder sandwich, right? We started off predictions on a ladder match, ended predictions on a ladder match. So first we're going to go with the women's ladder match, and it is going to be, if my memory serves me correct, we got Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, Lyra Valkyria, Io Sky, Zoe Stark, and Naomi. I think there's 6 people in the ladder match, if I'm not mistaken. But let's run. You know, with the Money in the Bank matches, I feel like it's a little different. So let's run down the line of like kind of who we feel like least likely is gonna win. Lyra Valkyria, even though they kind of been obviously trying to push her with her being in the finals of King of the Ring and everything, I just feel like as far as a character, she hasn't really connected with the crowd yet. And, you know, that's going to take some time, but she's the least likely to win, because if you look at momentum, has she really had that with the audience, you know, type of thing. Io Sky Shirai, she won it last year. There would really be no reason to put her right back there to do it again, so I don't think she needs it, and I don't think there's a reason for her to put her back there. Naomi could benefit from it. It's been a while since she's been a champion. She's a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion, but I think that was in like 2018 or whatever it was. So even though it's been some time since she's been champion, it was like 2018, 19, something like that. Even though it's been a while since she's been champ, I just don't think this is probably going to be the spot they're going to crown her as the new champ. But that's just what I think personally. I didn't even mention the least likely, the real least likely. I meant to say this. Zoe Stark. Obviously, they put her in this match for obvious reasons. You know, they think that, you know, obviously they see that she's athletic and she can do the wrestling moves. So they put her in this match more for the fact that she just fits this type of match as far as doing the athletic moves through the ladders and all that type of stuff. So that's the only reason why they put her in here. I would have preferred Dakota Kai, because that way you could tell that story of, you know, her helping out Io, or the other way around. You could have told the whole story there, like how they did last year, except it was with Bayley. But anyway, let's move on. 5th member, because my finger getting tired. 5th, Chelsea Green, just because it fits her cowardly heel style character. So the briefcase would would fit perfectly with her, and that could really be a nice start to her career getting off the ground, as far as finally being able to be, even though you're a cowardly heel, still being taken seriously, even if you have to cheat to win, at least being taken seriously as somebody who could really be a top contender for this, for the women's title down the line. And it perfectly fits her character, and she still has Piper Niven as like her muscle, so it no doubt could work if she won this match. And, you know, she's in her home country, I think hometown as well. I don't know if she's from Toronto, but I know she's Canadian. I don't know if she's from Toronto, but it's gonna be her home turf, so that gives it another boost as to why we may think that she's gonna win, or why I think she's gonna win. And then the last one, in terms of most likely to win is, to me, Tiffany Stratton. She's gained momentum with the fans, even though she hasn't even been on TV that much, because you notice how they don't really put her on TV a lot as far as like going out there to just do a promo, going out there with the matches, because they were kind of doing that and then they stopped doing it because I think of some social media controversy. Then when that kind of cleared up, they put her right back on television. But even then, she's still been in backstage segments or maybe helping somebody out, or Nia Jax in this case, win the match. So I have Tiffany winning. I'm sure she's probably the favorite. And again, she's just like Chelsea Green in the sense of it perfectly fits her character, especially as the obnoxious, just, arrogant heel who thinks so highly of herself and all that. So it would perfectly work for her character as well. So I'm going Tiffany Stratton. I just feel like she's the obvious favorite. And like I said, I always try to think how WWE's thinking, because if I want to get these predictions accurate, I can't do it off of what I think. I have to do it off of what the WWE might do. I could see them doing Chelsea Green, but I just feel like Tiffany Stratton is the current favorite right now. So if Triple H wants to push that young up-and-coming talent, I can see him not doing that. But if he wants to make that decision, I could most likely see Tiffany winning this match. So I'm going to go with Tiffany. So let's go to the bloodline of Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. And I think Jacob Fatu may be in their corner. I don't think he's going to be in the match, but I think he's going to be in their corner. But either way, the bloodline and the new fake watered down, but not so watered down, because the way they took out Paul Heyman, that kind of made you think differently about him. But the broke bloodline, I'm kidding, the thug bloodline versus the team of the WWE champion Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. So I think that the bloodline is going to win, because considering they just took out Paul Heyman last week, I don't think it would make sense to have them lose, because then it's like, because then if you think about it, the baby faces don't really get any benefit from this. Like winning this match for the baby faces, because at that point it's like, if they've beaten them in a 6-man tag, then how would they ever continue a program, especially if they plan on doing Cody versus Solo in the future, which I'm not a big advocate for, but I could see them maybe saying that that's the direction for SummerSlam. But bloodline, after they just took out Paul Heyman, that would not make any sense for the next week / the next PLE, y'all all together and you lose. And especially, and I can see Jacob Fatu, if he's maybe in their corner, he could be the man that when the referee's back is turned, helping them out, something like that. So I can see them playing that out well. And I don't know who's going to get pinned in this match. Some people say Kevin Owens, because he's the weakest out of, in terms of star power, he would be the weakest out of the three. Or some people say Cody, because, you maybe have Solo pin Cody as the champ. And that way that kind of gives him a legitimate reason to challenge him at SummerSlam if that's the potential match. But, and this is just random thoughts, or if they want to do Cody Randy at SummerSlam, if they just need a big match that has an automatic major storyline, they could easily have Randy Orton RKO Cody in the middle of the match. Like, it's just, in this match, a lot of things can happen, but I feel like no matter what happens, the bloodline has to win. So I got the bloodline winning, just because I think Triple H should be smart enough to know that if you just took out Paul Heyman like that, why would you follow that up with a loss to the baby faces, which again, like I said, would really not do much for them. But obviously this was their way of tying in Cody and the bloodline back together, and also evening up the odds with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton having to expect all these bloodline members to come back. Cody Rhodes obviously is there to help them out, because he's the #1 guy, the top babyface. So there's that. And obviously they wanted him to have a reason, because when you're the WWE champion, I mean, think about it, you're pretty much going to be on every PLE, even if he like, for example, like I told y'all in the last video, if you've seen my last video talking about WWE in general, about how Cody's the guy for them, he won the Royal Rumble. He made a promo. He had a promo / segment on Elimination Chamber. He faced Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in a rematch, and also faced Roman Reigns and The Rock in a tag match alongside Seth Rollins. And then at Backlash, he faced AJ Styles one-on-one. Then at King and Queen of the Ring, he faced Logan Paul. Then at Clash at the Castle, he faced AJ Styles again in an I Quit match. So all of that being, and now he's about to be in this 6-man tag. So obviously this was their way of getting the WWE champion on the Money in the Bank card in some capacity. And this was the easiest way to do it. So I got bloodline win. winning this one. So then we move on to, and I think there's only 5 matches on this. So I'm liking the format of only maybe five, maybe 6 matches. 5 is just like a good amount of matches because one, you can give the ladder matches time and all the other matches time to marinate and cook and let the story resonate with the audience and the people watching at home. So I am in hard or heavy favor in the 5 match format. Because when you want to start going like 7, 8 matches, save that for SummerSlam. But yeah, the 5 match format I've been liking. So let's move on to the match that could be. Wait, no. Is there 5 matches? We'll figure it out as we talk. Let's move on to Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. So this is obviously, some could say this is Braun Breaker's calling card to be that solidified main eventer because he's been, I mean, it goes to show you when Triple H or the WWE as a whole wants to push somebody, they know exactly how to do it. Because even though Braun Breaker has lost before, right? He's had the DQ finishes with like people getting involved in his matches. So he's lost, obviously. But that's the thing. When it comes to being undefeated and when it comes to somebody who hasn't lost, the fans don't really care about DQ losses because you didn't get pinned or submitted. So that doesn't matter to the fans. For example, people forget during Gunther's Intercontinental title run, there was a few DQs. But they forget that because guess what? If he was never pinned or submitted, no one really cares and you still see him as undefeated. So even if a disqualification or some type of count out or something happened, the fans don't really count it. Because if you didn't get pinned or like the pin and submission is essentially that feels like more of a legitimate win. Because if you just win by count out or DQ, to the fans it's kind of like, yeah, they won, but he didn't get pinned, so they never kind of take that as a legitimate loss. But not to get too far off track. So Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. I can see this going both ways. I can see Braun Breaker, I can see them kind of treating him like Brock Lesnar in a sense of having this guy for a couple of months, but he immediately wins a major title. Now, in Brock's case, I think it was the WWE Championship, so that was crazy. But I could see them doing this with Braun Breaker, like having them be that young prodigy who has the look, has the aggression, looks fierce, ready to fight, easily believable because of his look and demeanor and size and just the way he delivers the spear, obviously, alone. That is no doubt a believable opponent for Sami Zayn because, again, it's one of those, they've built this guy up, right? He started out beating Ricochet. Then he beat Dragunov, even though they need to build him better. But that's what I mean when I say they know how to do somebody right when they want somebody to be done right and build them up. But anyway, not to get too far off topic, but you got Braun Breaker had beaten Ricochet, had beaten Ilya Dragunov, went in there and had a good match with Sheamus, even though he got interrupted. Went in there and had a pretty good match with Ludwig Kaiser, but obviously got interrupted by Sheamus. And yeah, Braun Breaker, the whole story of him is obviously the barking and the freaking spears that he's delivered on people on the outside, on the inside of the ring. No matter where you are, Braun Breaker is no doubt ready to spear you, whether outside, inside the ring, through a barricade, through a car windshield, through the washing machine, through the freaking car wash. It doesn't matter where he want to spear you from. He can do it. But on one hand, you can see this being Braun Breaker's calling card. But if I'm being honest, this to me does not feel like, it's believable that Braun Breaker could easily win this, no doubt. But to me, this does not feel like the time to take it off of Sam, because even though you can no doubt believable, and I wouldn't have a problem with it, you can no doubt believably immediately push Braun to the top and have him be the Intercontinental Champion. But something just tells me, and I know I got to think with like how the WWE is thinking, but even with that, like how the WWE would think of this, I'm still thinking Sami Zayn is going to retain, because I could maybe see them going, okay, you could tell stories like, all right, some people, and this was a good one, some people say so that Braun Breaker still has that whole thing of he's never been pinned or submitted. You could have him realize that I'm facing a really tough opponent. Like, think about it. Sami Zayn is the man who beat Gunther at WrestleMania after holding the title for 666 days, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, and Sami Zayn is the man who beat a guy like that. If you're the man who beat a guy like that, then you should be a hard, even if Sami Zayn is a smaller guy, but right, he has the character of he's the tough underdog that despite him not looking like much in the body and physique, he has the wit or he has the willpower and tenacity to, keep going because he wants it that bad. So that was enough for him to overcome Gunther. So with Braun Breaker, he's not on Gunther's level yet as far as dominance is concerned. So maybe you do a thing where Braun Breaker still being the rookie and the arrogant guy who thinks he's so great and fantastic, he could end up doing a thing where he's wanting to win this title so bad, and when he realized that Sami is not like the rest of his opponents as far as like being this guy where I could just easily put him away with a spear or two, when he realized that Sami Zayn's not an easy guy like that to beat, some people were saying they could see him getting too upset and too angry, so he just starts pummeling Sami Zayn and beating him up in the corner, and it's a DQ. So Sami retains, but Braun Breaker still has not gotten pinned, but because he obviously has the character that's very aggressive, you could believably and easily make this a thing where Braun Breaker gets too aggressive and too upset and wasn't able to keep his anger in check, and that's what cost him the match because it ended up being a DQ. The referee, was counting as he was beating up Sami in the corner. The referee was trying to give him the count, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he calls the bell. I can see that being the end of the match because that way you still don't have Braun get pinned and Sami retains. So I see Sami Zayn retaining and them further building up Braun Breaker as this freaking uncontrollable beast. And if it were me, I would have him get DQ'd by just beating the crap out of Sami out of frustration of not being able to put him away, because that way he doesn't get pinned and Sami retains. But I have this in my hand. I'm just doing stuff. Anyway, you guys just wanted to know. Next match, second to last match, here we go. It's going to be Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. Hopefully y'all staying with me. Hoping this video don't feel too long, because I know some people be like, oh my God, my attention span, man, you've been talking about this for a while. You probably skipped through. But here we are. Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest being the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins being the challenger. So here's how I see it going. Obviously, if you guys have seen the build up to this, they're building this as Damian Priest feels like because he's the world champion, he is the leader of the Judgment Day because obviously he's the top champion for the brand. So that must make him the leader for his group. So it's not a bad mindset, not a bad way of putting things together and putting 2 and 2 together and making 4 and putting 1 plus 1 and making 2, But the Judgment Day say, hey, man, there's no leader. And then, they remember when they had that thing of, there's no leader of the Judgment Day. We all just look out for each other type of thing. But Damian Priest said they need me more than I need them. So obviously they're planting the seeds of a story between, I could see Damian Priest versus Finn Balor, because to me, this is a little side thing, but to me, Damian Priest, even though he's had some good moments on the microphone, to me, he still doesn't feel like a world champion, and I think him having a SummerSlam match with Finn Balor could be his calling card as far as he's away from the Judgment Day, his feud, because now he's feuding with his group. And if y'all notice, Liv Morgan is cool with JD McDonough, cool with Finn Balor, cool with Carlito, cool himself, cool with Dominic, because he ain't really acting like he don't want it that bad. He's okay with her being in there without actually saying it. He tries to act like he brushing off, but he don't mind one of the most elite snow bunnies in the game right now getting up on him and getting in his business. Let's be honest. But anyway, Damian Priest is the only one that's really been trying to get Liv up out of there. Like, what are you guys doing? Focus and boom, boom, boom. And so they're obviously planting the seeds, telling that story. And as far as SummerSlam needing big matches, Seth Rollins versus Gunther is clearly the bigger match. And I think with Seth Rollins returning, him being one of the top stars that they've had for the last 10 years, and then on top of that, it's his return match on a PLE for the World Heavyweight title. Why would they not have him win at SummerSlam with all of that being said? So Damian Priest to me still hasn't felt like a world champion. I just feel like as a character on the microphone, it hasn't felt like, man, this is a top guy. But He's pretty solid in the ring, and his mic skills to me, he just to me like, for example, the Undertaker. Funny enough, they called him the bisexual Undertaker, but the Undertaker to me got so much great depth into his character, and he became a top star for years and years and years, decades upon decades, and you could always rely on him. Whether you had him just be in top programs or whether you wanted him to be the world champion, it didn't matter. He felt like a top guy all the way. Damian Priest, I feel like he has not hit that element as a character where he could be with the title and it feels fine. He could be without the title and it feels fine. To me, with him being the, and this is just from my perspective, him being the world champion to me felt like Triple H was trying to make him one of the top guys in the company, but the fans kind of don't see him that way as like one of the top guys in the company. And with him being the briefcase holder, him winning the World Heavyweight Championship, which is a great moment, cool story with him costing Drew and everything. And it's funny how that all came full circle because Drew McIntyre was the World Heavyweight Champion, beat Seth Rollins, rubbed it into CM Punk's face, and CM Punk acted on it, and it led to Damian Priest cashing in on him becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion. And then at Clash at the Castle, same three people, right? This time it was Drew going after Damian Priest's World Championship, and Punk cost Drew. So it's funny how he cost Drew, and it involved Damian Priest coming out as the victor. At WrestleMania, he had a successful cash-in that became the World Heavyweight Champion. And with Clash at the Castle, he retained his title. So it's crazy how all those three always like intertwined that way. But anyway, I just noticed that. Anyway, to me, Damian Priest has felt like it's like Triple H has given him the opportunity many times to cut promos. The matches are fine, but the promos to me still aren't there as far as what does a world champion sound like? How does he carry himself? The confidence, the character work. He doesn't have, to me, that character depth that it takes to be a world champion at the moment. But that's just from my perspective. And I just feel like Triple H was really trying to make him a top guy when fans kind of didn't see him that way. A potential top guy, no doubt, but I don't think he has met that time. That's from my perspective. And the last thing I'm going to say about this match is Seth Rollins versus Gunther. That is, if not a dream match, you can't deny that that is one of the biggest matches WWE could do, because they built Gunther as a top guy that's just waiting to be the world champion. And they've had obviously built Seth Rollins for the last 10 years as one of their top guys, along with the Cody Rhodeses that they have now, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, like the current top guys. Now he's right up there with them. And as the guy they always can depend on to be the world champion. So even though Seth Rollins would most likely be a transitional champion, because we're all predicting already that at SummerSlam, Gunther is going to beat him. And obviously, if you don't know, if you won King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring, you get to challenge the world. You have an automatic title match with the world champion of your brand. So in this case, for Gunther, it's Damian Priest. But after Money in the Bank, it could be Seth. So I think Seth is going to win this because it's a bigger match. There's a story to tell with Damian and Finn Balor, and there's an automatic SummerSlam match right there if you tell that story properly. Finn Balor versus Damian Priest at SummerSlam, I think that works perfectly. That way, even though Damian Priest lost the world title, he's still in a relevant storyline and facing a top guy in Finn Balor. Seth Rollins and Gunther on paper is a bigger match if you just think of name value alone. There's a lot more stock to put in Seth and Gunther than Damian Priest and Gunther. 3, there's a clear babyface and a clear heel, right? Because with Damian Priest, he's technically still a heel, so it would have been a weird dynamic of heel versus heel. But with Seth, obviously having the crowd singing his song and everything, he's a clear babyface going against a clear heel in Gunther. So it perfectly situates that. And that match has the potential to be an in-ring classic. Seth's more creative, innovative, high-flying style of wrestling versus Gunther's technical, hard-hitting mat-style wrestling. Perfect contrast in styles right there. So there's multiple reasons you could think of why Seth versus Gunther is a better match than you can think of Damian Priest and Gunther. So they need big matches for SummerSlam. I mean, Damian Priest versus Gunther, let's be honest, it didn't really, to me at least, didn't feel like a SummerSlam match because Damian Priest, like I said, still hadn't hit that next level as a top star to where this would feel like a big match, big money match. Like Seth Rollins versus Gunther feels like a big money match. And then on top of that, Gunther beating Seth, a former, I mean, by this time he'll be even though he'll be transitional winning it in Money in the Bank, he'll have been a 5-time five-time world champion in the WWE. Wouldn't that make sense for for Gunther to beat a guy like that rather than Damian Priest, a guy that they're still trying to establish? Seth Rollins is established as one of the top guys they have for the last 10 years. So wouldn't it be more of an impact in a moment if Gunther beat him rather than Damian Priest? But I'm just being honest. So, yeah, because Seth, first WWE title win was the infamous cash in. And then he beat, funny enough, at Money in the Bank, he beat, funny enough, Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. And I think he was champ for like 2 minutes and Dean Ambrose cashed in on him. Then he won the Universal title at WrestleMania 35 against Brock. Then he got it back from Brock after being cashed in on at WrestleMania, or at SummerSlam of 2019. Then, though he was the inaugural world champion at Night of Champions last year. Last year. And then now, if he beats Damian Priest, that'll make him a 5-time world champion. So just to run down the list for those who want to know where those 5 world titles came from. But I got Seth Rollins winning this match because it's I just stated all the reasons, but the main reasons being it's a bigger match. They need big money matches for SummerSlam. I mean, if it's your second biggest PLE/pay-per-view of the year, you're going to want to put on big matches worth it being the second biggest PLE of the year. So there you go. Moving on. SummerSlam has the potential to be a really packed card if you think about it. Like, and I'm just throwing this out there. CM Punk Drew, The Rock versus Cody, or Randy Orton versus Cody. I'm just naming stuff as what it potentially could be. LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the US title potentially. Automatically it's going to be Nia Jackson Bailey, even though, which there you got to be fair, at least there it's a clear baby face that the crowd still likes and a clear heel that the crowd despises. So I got to give that match some credit. And then you may potentially, she may not come back in time, but we could get Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, which is going to be a hot program when Rhea gets back, assuming it can be by before SummerSlam, obviously. But I'm just throwing it out there, like those are just potential matches that could be on this card, and these are all like hot feuds going on. So just throwing it out there that like SummerSlam could be a really packed card, man. But moving on to the last match, make it that all right. We're getting to our ladder sandwich. Money in the Bank. And if you skim through it, I don't blame you. I did spend a lot of time on that, but I had to make some points. Last thing, Money in the Bank for the men. So we got in this thing, LA Knight, yeah, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade. I can do this. Chad Gable, Jey Uso, and dang it. I can do this. Jey Uso, LA Knight, Chad Gable, Andrade, Carmelo, Drew McIntyre. Because I was trying to think of like the biggest stars from like, I was trying to think, okay, who are like the biggest stars in this match and who would be like the smaller scale stars in this match. There you go, Damian Priest. So, again, we're going to go from least likely to win to most likely. To me, the least likely to win is Andrade because they have not booked him. I'm just going by their booking. They have not really booked him as a guy that we should take as a threat and potentially win this Money in the Bank. But if Triple H, I can see him seeing Andrade as one of his favorites and, you know, having him win this match because of the potential he sees in him. I mean, we saw that happen when he had Damian Priest become briefcase holder over LA Knight, even though LA Knight was hottest thing. He probably was more of a fan of Damian Priest and knew him a little better, whatever the case may be. So we not saying it's not a realm of possibility that he could win, but I'm just saying least likely. Then to me, the other least likely is Carmelo Hayes because I actually like Carmelo Hayes. I think he has great potential, but he hasn't really gotten to really, to me, show that he's ready to be a briefcase holder. It would fit his character, but as far as how they presented him on TV since he's been on the main roster, I mean, he's only really won, like, since he's been an official SmackDown superstar, if I'm not mistaken, hasn't he only won, like, 2 matches, right? He beat Corbin in the King of the Ring finals or the tournament, and then he beat Randy Orton by rolling him up in a triple threat. So he's only won like 2 matches since he's been on the main roster. And then he lost against Cody when he first got there. He lost against Randy Orton in that tournament. He lost against LA Knight in a TV match. So I'm remembering these things. And so to me, with that being said, since it seems as if they're not fully invested in Carmelo Hayes right now, so that's why I put him on the lesser scale to win this match. But for some people who think he's a favorite to win it, I get it. But I feel like fans overbook. They get too deep into the fantasy booking, right? Because there's a storyline going on with this guy, and that guy. They start thinking that that's what WWE's thinking. But that may not be what WWE's thinking about. But I will say there's the potential that we can see a lot of interference in this match where people are costing people the match. Which brings me to the next person that is least likely to win this, Drew McIntyre. And some say, how was like Drew McIntyre least likely to win? Like, how do you say that? Because I think they're pretty much telling the story that every time Drew McIntyre almost gets there, right? The moment is set up right there for him to do it. And then the rug gets swept, pulled out, whatever, drugged out from underneath him. And it's always CM Punk. That's pretty much his dark cloud where like every time he's about to achieve a high and mighty opportunity, CM Punk is right there to cost him. So I think we're all predicting Drew looks like he's about to win the whole thing, and then CM Punk is right there to just tip that ladder over. If it was AJ Lee, that would be really cool. What a return that would be. But then it's like, I don't know if you want to do AJ Lee, because then what if she's not trying to return to wrestling and people think it's a return? So it's like, I don't know if you want to play with fans like that. But most likely CM Punk, especially since he took the bracelet with AJ and Larry, his wife and his dog, yeah, he's definitely going to want to get back at Drew. So I think most of us are thinking, can already picture the spot of Drew McIntyre looking like nobody's there, everybody's laid out, and then ladder gets tipped over by CM Punk. And he goes through some tables, whatever. So we can easily, I think they're still going to build a story of CM Punk is Drew McIntyre's dark cloud. So I think they're going to continue that. And then number 2 of who I think is most likely to win is Chad Gable, because Chad Gable has been doing tremendous work as a heel. He's been doing his thing. Even though he's lost the matches with Sami Zayn, he still has gotten he won one of them, but it wasn't for the title. And the one for the title he lost, obviously. So Chad Gable's been doing tremendous work, still over as a heel. And the only thing that may cost him this one is if they still want the Wyatt Six to feud with him. I could easily see them, maybe lights go out and Uncle Howdy or somebody appears on the ladder, throws Chad Gable off of it. So that is potential. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stupid. I said, so Andrade, Carmelo, Drew. I meant to say my next guy is LA Knight in terms of going from least likely to most likely. Next after Drew, not Chad Gable, LA Knight. LA Knight, because with CM Punk interfering in Drew's match, that to me is way more obvious than potentially Logan Paul interfering into this match. Because obviously with CM Punk and Drew, their feud is established. It has been established. With LA Knight and Logan, their feud has been it's been established, but it has not even hit any type of level for you to go, holy, what a feud. So that's why I put LA Knight above McIntyre in terms of who's most likely to win this match. So LA Knight on the most likely side over Drew. I do think that, especially with him rolling up Logan to win, that's definitely not going to make Logan happy. And because they've already established that they got some heat with each other, LA and Logan Paul most definitely could be costing LA Knight this match. And so and then again, that story of, Crazy has a full circle moment, because last year LA was the hottest thing and he was about to win it and didn't. And this time he was about to win it again, like had another opportunity, was about to win it. But this time Logan Paul gets involved because he's the type of guy that will most definitely get involved in a match like this. But to cost LA Knight. And that would automatically set up their SummerSlam match, right? Tried to get the briefcase. You couldn't get your nose out of my business, so I'm going after that U.S. title at SummerSlam in your hometown. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. LA most likely is getting costed by Logan as far as this match goes. So this Money in the Bank ladder match to me is the men's ladder match to me is the most exciting because obviously it's pretty almost 99% obvious that Punk is going to cost Drew, and then it's most likely that Logan Paul is going to cost LA this match. So it's just going to be so many like people interfering in this match, stopping this guy from winning because of the heat they got established. So a lot of good feuds going on for WWE, or feud potential here to really elevate this feud and give it more heat. This is perfect. Logan costing LA. It's the perfect thing because that gives LA an out. And then also you get more heat on this feud as SummerSlam is up on the horizon in less than a month. I know that's crazy because it's on August 3rd. So that's what I got for LA Knight. And I truly think the reason why they put LA Knight in this match is because he's still even though he's not as hot as he was last Money in the Bank, still a hot talent and still a guy that the fans take as a top guy. So I think that's why they put him in this match. And also, I think they want to see the LA Knight Jey Uso face off because of the yeet and the yeah catchphrase. So I think that's another reason they put LA Knight in this match. But now we're getting to where I was talking about. Moving on back to Chad Gable, second most likely to win this match because he's been doing fantastic as a heel, even though he didn't win the Intercontinental Championship. And the Wyatt Six maybe could interfere in this match because if you've looked at TV, they've always interfered with his stuff, but they don't always interfere in his match because think about it. He got the win to qualify for Money in the Bank, and then the Wyatt Six came out. So they're not necessarily always interfering in his matches, and actually they haven't interfered in any of his matches. So with the Wyatt Six, it's like, do you think they're going to cost him this match? It's definitely potential, or maybe something appears on the screen and Chad Gable gets distracted, something. I can see, even if they don't necessarily directly do anything to him, I can still see him getting distracted or something like that by whoever tries to come out there. So maybe that could be the possibility, but that's just measuring off possibilities. Now, to me, my pick and the number one guy to me is most likely to win is Jey Uso. Now, some people are saying, does the bloodline interfere in that match? I don't know, because honestly, it's like, on one hand, it makes sense because if they're gonna do a bloodline warfare at Survivor Series, right? Though the new bloodline with Solo and his, Tonga Tonga Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu versus maybe Roman Reigns, the Usos, maybe reuniting together, and maybe The Rock on Roman's side. As I could see them maybe, because I don't know that The Rock would even do a War Games, but I could potentially see The Rock being the fourth member if they do a 4v4. This is another thing. We don't even know if they're going to do a 5v5 or a 4v4 Survivor Series. They've done 4v4, I think, in the past, where it was 4 members instead of 5. But you can maybe see The Rock joining Roman Reigns' team, and then during the match, he turns on him, and that's how they lose that match. You can maybe, and then you can further set, this is just future booking. Maybe if they do a 4v4 Survivor Series, right? Solo, Tama Tonga Tangaloa, and Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns, the Usos of Jimmy and Jay, and The Rock. Maybe The Rock could pretend to be on Roman's side, and then in the middle of the match, or towards the end of the match, Rock turns on Roman Reigns and gives him a rock bottom. And then the Usos are stunned that The Rock, turned on Roman. And then guess what? If he does that at Survivor Series, that gives him more heat going into WrestleMania 41, which we are confident and hope both men stay healthy and good and well, that we can, and the fans don't, mess it up. We hopefully at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas could get Roman Reigns versus The Rock, the dream match we need to see. I can see The Rock doing that as just a seed planted to set up their match at WrestleMania, is if he turns on him at Survivor Series, if they do like a bloodline warfare where The Rock is on their side, but then in the middle of the match he turns on them, or at the end of the match he turns on. Anyway, that's just future booking. You got me off track. But that's how people are trying to have a direct tie-in as to why Jey Uso would want to go back to his evil family of Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso. That could give him a reason to want to help them out. Is because they costed him the Money in the Bank briefcase. But aside from all that, the thing that makes him my pick to win is, one, I mean, he's the new LA Knight as far as he's in LA Knight's position last year in terms of, think about it. He's got the Fireflies, even though he's saying he don't want them. He's got the Fireflies, the crowd, waving up and down. He's got the crowd yeeting. I mean, he's the hottest. He's one of the hottest stars in the company right now. And he's, like I said, in terms of hottest star in the company, he's where LA Knight was last year's Money in the Bank as the hottest star. And I think he's going to be the hottest star in this year's Money in the Bank. So that's why I think he's most likely to win. He's been the hottest star out of the, if you look at everybody in this match, he's the hottest star. So, or at least the newest hottest star. You know what I mean? So that's why I think Jey Uso's going to win, because he had that momentum. I'm sure him and Triple H have a good connection with each other, a relationship with each other. So I think, even though, yeah, Bloodline could interfere, that's what I mean by just all this interference, right? Wyatt 6, CM Punk, Logan Paul, the Bloodline costing Jay because they don't want to see him win. And then that gives Jay a reason to want to help out his family because they did just cost them Money in the Bank. But I'm not saying that wouldn't make sense, but I just don't think that's going to happen, or think it should happen. Like, there's a way you can get, like, because some people say maybe if Jay ends up teaming up with them and wins the briefcase, would that look a little out of place, him being the briefcase holder going into this match? But I don't think there's any harm in him being a briefcase holder going into a War Games match. I don't know why people think that would be like a weird thing, but that's how my predictions are going to go, and that is my preview of the show. So we got Tiffany for my picks, just in case you need to be reminded. I got Tiffany winning, the new Bloodline winning their match, Sami Zayn retaining his championship, Seth Rollins becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion, and Jey Uso becoming the Money in the Bank winner for the men. Love you and appreciate you guys. Because at the end of the day, what can I say? It is what it is. What is going to be the Prodigy coming out with more videos. Hopefully, y'all stay along the ride. I don't mind if you skim through it. I was getting a lot of, there was a lot of things that came to mind, a lot of details I wanted to discuss about certain matches and certain people. But I shall see you guys once again, and you should believe that and trust and believe in me, since I am DJ White. So without further ado, let's get it. Till I see y'all again. Peace.